Hey, welcome to A Game for Your Thoughts. Today we're talking about Link's Awakening Remake on the Switch. So, I've actually reviewed this game on the Game Boy, and you can go check out that video here on my channel. That would be awesome. And I will say that I really enjoyed the original game. It was a really solid Zelda experience that I actually feel like is thoroughly underrated. The story is neat, the gameplay is awesome, and the dungeons are tons of fun. And this is all a really solid experience. So I was really excited to get into the Switch remake and just check out it all in really awesome graphics. And so let's talk about it. I'm super excited. So the story of Link's Awakening follows Link as he's out on the ocean and gets struck by lightning, and when he wakes up, he's washed ashore on this island called Koholint Island. And this girl named Marin finds him, and she's kind of guiding him through this adventure. But then this owl shows up, and he's like, hey man, there's this thing called the windfish on this giant pink egg on the mountain, so you have to go and find these 8 instruments hidden across the island and wake up the windfish to escape the island. So now Link sets off on this epic adventure to save himself and wake up the windfish. The story of Link's Awakening is a really awesome, simplistic Zelda story. It doesn't have a whole lot going on, mostly from the beginning to the end. There's a big space in the middle where things happen, but no really big story things happen. Mostly, Link is just adventuring across this island, interacting with the people of the island, fighting these monsters, and just collecting these instruments to wake up the windfish, interacting with this owl, and collecting vague and very cryptic messages about the experience. The game really didn't need a very deep and complex story, and I'm kind of glad it didn't, because it just really let the gameplay shine, because I feel like the gameplay is really what makes this game such an awesome experience. For the gameplay, it's classic Zelda top-down exploration. I love these type of Zelda games because I really love the puzzles it presents. It makes it so that you don't just have to look for the eye on the wall and then shoot it with your bow and arrow. It's a little bit more complex with that, and it makes the exploration a lot more enjoyable, and it makes the world feel a little bit more like connected in a weird way. I know that sounds odd because the 3D Zelda games literally have an open world you can explore, but for some reason I feel like these 2D Zelda games, everything just kind of feels a little bit more connected in a weird way. It's a little bit more grid-like and a little bit easier to follow. So when you start out the game, you're equipped with just a sword and a shield. Well, actually, you're not even equipped with that. You have to find those first. But once you have your sword and shield in hand, you start exploring this island. And I really enjoyed exploring Koholint Island. There was so much to see and so much to do, and so many secrets to find. There's lots of neat little collectibles with the shells, and then the trading quest, which I'll talk about later. It's just, there's so much going on this small island that just really keeps you intrigued and really exploring and finding the heart pieces and using your different items to find certain areas and find little shortcuts. It's all just really, really solid, and I loved exploring the island. It also kind of has this cool Metroidvania feel where you come across spaces or things that have something in the way that you can't quite get across yet. And so you have to wait until you get that right item to come back and then just really get past that and find something really cool or explore more of the island. It's just such a neat little system that just keeps you excited for what comes next. I really love how rewarding this experience feels. By the end of the game, you feel like it was a really solid game, and it just feels good. It's so much fun to play, and it just feels like you're progressing and moving along this story, and just becoming more powerful as a character as you collect more items and find more efficient ways to take down the enemies. It's just such a solid experience that makes you feel really good. But one of my favorite things is the dungeons in this game. Each of the dungeons are very expertly crafted. I really love exploring these dungeons, and some of them are very memorable in my eyes. Some of the best Zelda dungeons, especially in the 2D worlds. I really love a lot of these dungeons because the puzzles are so well done that it really makes you think, and when you figure out the solution, it's so satisfying. It's such a fun feeling solving these puzzles and moving around these dungeons in really cool ways and finding the awesome enemies that populate each of the areas. It's very neat and just such a cool experience, just feeling very explorative and very adventurous. One of my favorite things about this game is Rox Feather. It's this item that lets you jump, and you've never really been able to jump like that in Zelda games except for these Game Boy versions, so Link's Awakening, the Oracle of Ages and Seasons games. They have that jump function, and it's really cool because it's used in awesome ways, especially in the side-scrolling transitional areas between the staircases. I loved those, and killing Goombas as Link was weirdly satisfying. Though I really did enjoy the feather, one thing I really wished would have happened is if it could have gotten assigned to a button like the Pegasus boots or the shield, which is one of my new favorite things about this game. In the Game Boy, you were constantly going into your inventory to switch items out, and I honestly would never use my shield because I always had the Rox Feather equipped in my inventory, and I was switching out the other one, so my shield never got used in the Game Boy. But here in the remake, the shield, the Pegasus boots, and a few other items are auto-assigned to buttons. I really wish the Rox Feather would have gotten added into this, as that would have made that so nice, and that would open up both slots. Whereas here I always had the Rox Feather stuck in one of the slots, just for convenience. So I really only had one slot to switch out. So that would have been nice to have that feather bumped to a button. I understand there's only so many buttons, and you can only do so many things, but that would have been really nice to have that function. Beyond all this awesome stuff, I love this trading side quest that goes on throughout the game as it weaves in and out of the main quest. It's such an enjoyable side quest that feels very rewarding. It's fun to catch the different items and be like, oh wait, that's right, I remember that person who needed that item, and then you can go back to them and they're like, oh, you found that thing I was looking for. And it's just really fun as it just keeps you paying attention to all the different characters, and it's just an enjoyable side quest that is really, really rewarding. The boomerang is the best item in the game, and it's so much fun to just chuck it and just annihilate enemies with a boomerang of all things. A new addition to the game was the dungeon creation with Dampy. I really liked this. It gives me hope for something very, very cool. Let me talk about this. So the Zelda dungeon creation system in this lets you take pieces and rooms from all the dungeons you explore throughout the game and create these huge, expansive, and puzzle-like dungeons and challenges with Dampy. And it's so much fun, as it's just really cool to see the potential for a future game. I'm sure this is what happened. I don't know if this is for sure, but it makes me really excited to think about it. That we have Mario Maker, where you make your own Mario levels. And I'm hoping that Nintendo put this function here in Link's Awakening to kind of test it and see if players would be interested in a Zelda dungeon making game. I think it would be so cool to get that. And using the basic functions of this game and implementing it into a wider scale, including like the classic Zelda and the Game Boy Zeldas and this Link's Awakening remake and A Link to the Past, using those 4 styles to create this awesome game that's very similar to Mario Maker, but for Zelda dungeons, using dungeons from those games to create your own masterpieces that are just sprawling and awesome and have some of the coolest puzzles and things like that would be amazing. So it makes me really, really hopeful, and I really love that function in this game. It worked very well. Well, it was a bummer you couldn't upload your dungeons to like your friends and share them. I was fine because it was more so, I feel like, just testing the waters for a future game that could just take this to the next level. As for the graphics, I really enjoyed this new art style. It's super adorable and just silly. It helps kind of just the overall tone of the game just have such a fun feel to it. And with this, I really hope they remake the Oracle of Ages / Seasons games from the Game Boy as well. I would really, really enjoy that because those are really solid games. And I think all the Zelda Game Boy games are severely underrated, and I think this is the perfect time to capitalize on this and remake those and bring attention back to those titles because they're amazing games that I definitely think deserve some love and care. So I really hope that this game, the success of this game, really sparks an interest in those classic Game Boy games and we get some remakes. That would be amazing. I would love that. But with all this in mind, the soundtrack and everything else this game has to offer is amazing. The soundtrack, phenomenal job. They did a great job on the soundtrack. But everything just adds up to build a very solid Zelda experience that feels classic to what Link's Awakening was back on the Game Boy, but it feels fresh and new and modern, and I loved it. It was so much fun and really enjoyable. So I recommend you absolutely go play Link's Awakening. It is probably one of the best games on the Switch, and it is tons of fun. If you've never played Link's Awakening, I absolutely recommend it. It is probably one of my favorite Zelda games, and I feel like it is severely underrated. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. So let me know down in the comments below, what did you think about Link's Awakening? And if you want to see more of me, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post a new video. And if you want to see even more of me, I'm over on Twitch at twitch.tv/thegameforyourthoughts. I'm streaming there all the time, and I would love to see you there. Thanks again for watching the video. I hope you have an awesome day, and don't forget that the key to success is succeeding, and we'll see you guys next time on A Game for Your Thoughts.